our great pleasure to participate with you all in this conference and to thank Human Restart Organization for organizing this conference today. So I go straight away to my presentation, which is under the title of the Reality of Scientific Research in the Middle East, Its Obstacles and Ways to Develop it. As you know that education in the Middle East has faced a lot of difficulties and problems. And if you just take the data that we have received from the World Bank, that the quality of education in this region is falling down behind other regions, and it needs urgent intervention and reform at the same time. In particular, in relation to the case of unemployability, where our graduates are facing, unfortunately, in the Middle East in general, and in particular in the MENA area. You know that when we are talking about MENA area, we have coupled the number of the countries within the western part of Asia and northern part of Africa. Iraq, where I'm just coming from, and I'm representing Kurdistan region in this conference, and of course we are coming from Iraq, so it is the same case that higher education system is suffering from. And unfortunately, some of the countries within the MENA are considered by some definitions as part of the MENA, and others sometimes they are going to be excluded from this group. You know, what's important is the governance in higher education. When we are talking about higher education system, we are talking about how to run this system. Running, you know that it's very easy to have an institution. It's very easy to have a higher education institution, but it's not easy to run it. So governance of higher education is very important. The problem that we have in MENA area, unfortunately, the rate of the unemployability within this region is 30%. So 30% of our young people are not going to have the opportunities to get the jobs in the market. So according to the latest data that I have received from the World Bank, and this is dated back to 2018, this is the latest one they have it because it depends on the surveys and questionnaires they are going to make it. 30% of the young people, unfortunately, when they are going to graduate, they have no ability to get job opportunities. This is in comparison with the other parts of the world. You know that how we need, when we are talking about problems, we need to talk about solutions. We might have suggestions for these problems. The tertiary education is very important. Unfortunately, in Iraq in particular, in general, and in Kurdistan region in particular, we are not getting to pay any attention to such part of education, tertiary education, where we need to get the people, skillful people. You know, the higher education policymakers of the countries in general in Middle East, in MENA area, have to take into their account the task of turning the country's youth into well-skilled people. We are going to educate the people. It's very easy to give you certificates, but we are not going to produce skillful graduates where we can get the jobs easily in the labor market. Nowadays, the whole world actually is working on responding to the needs of the labor market, but this is not the case in our countries. So what's important here, why we are not implementing this, it's because of the quality. We do pay a lot of attention to the quantity, but we entirely forget about quality. So we need to proceed quality before the quantity. So quality is very important for us. Quality of teaching, quality of learning, quality of research. To make our universities open to the world, we need to pay attention to the quality. Of course, you know that there are some factors behind this. Mainly, we have economic and political environment. Probably we all agree, mostly we are coming from the Middle East. We are coming from those countries where we are living from. So we know the real situation, the economic situation, we know the political situation of our country. These are the main factors behind the standard that we have, the level of education that we have, the level of equality that we have in our country. Unfortunately, I was looking forward to get a data, a comparison between the allocated budget for higher education in the MENA area with the allocated budget for military purposes. Sometimes, if you are going to search and Google, you will find the amount of money which is going to be allocated for military purposes. It's, I can say, hundreds times of the amount of money which is going to be allocated for research purposes. This is, we are all educators, we are all scholars, we are all researchers. I have been an academic within the university for over 20 years. And I know how the situation is going within the universities. It's not only, we are constantly right in Kurdistan, this is the case, and I'm sure that this is not the CG may agree with me, it's the same case in the federal government as well. Our universities are separated from, because we don't have specific allocated budget for higher education. I mean, when I'm talking about allocated budget, up to our ambition. There is some part of the budget allocated for higher education, but that's not sufficient. That's not something enough for improving. We are talking about innovation. When we talk about innovation, how can we make innovation without money? We have a lot of intelligent people in our country, but they have no support. We have very intelligent people within our universities. By the way, the best scholars in the European universities are coming from our countries. If you go and check the universities around the world, you will see some of them are coming from our countries. But unfortunately, they haven't got such attention from our country, so they left it. Then, you know that as my main topic is about research. Research actually is also one of the issues that we are suffering from. In Iraq and in Kurdistan region, our ministry is called Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research. But we forgot entirely about scientific research. Nothing is going to be mentioned about the research. We are just teaching. So our universities predominantly are considered to be teaching universities. I am the person responsible for the quality of all the universities in Kurdistan region. I'm the head of the apparatus of quality assurance and accreditation. And I know the reality. I know the facts, but you know that fact of the shame, liar. I know that we can't do anything. This is something can be done by having very good budget. If you compare countries like China, like United States of America, like UK, like other parts of Europe, they are going to have very good budget for higher education because they know that if they support higher education, they have a very good country. But it's entirely the different issues we have. So, let me see the role of scientific research in Middle East countries. You know that I just mentioned this. Unfortunately, the amount allocated according to the data that I have is 0.1% to the research. This is the data that we have gotten according to the gross domestic product and gross expenditure of research and development. This will tell us that you should not expect anything from me. If this is the reality that we have 0.1%. I'm not talking about Iraq, by the way. I'm talking about the Middle East in general. In particular, I'm talking about MENA region. This is the reality. How we can expect the success of our country if we are just allocating such a very low percentage of our budget for research. So, you know, in the world, most universities are going to be in a very high international ranking by committing and implementing research papers. If you want to have a very developed country, you should have an excellent centers for research. If you want to be successful, do research. That is the scientific issue. You can improve what you are doing. I can speak from here till the morning, but you should ask me about the scientific proof. What source of evidence I have to give you? I should tell you that these are the data I got from such sources. Then you will take it into consideration. But we are very clever in talking, but unfortunately very lazy in doing actions. So, what are the main challenges that we have? You know, low rates of expenditure on scientific research, I just mentioned. Low outputs. You know that we are going to have very good, we have a big number of publications. My colleagues, I have a couple of friends coming with us, my delegation, that we have the president's advisors to the minister, directors of the ministry. They all agree with me because we have the same suffering that we are facing in the country. We are talking about research, but we don't get used from the outputs of the research. Unfortunately, the number of publications that we have in the region is too much. But when we come to talk about the quality, we can't say anything about it. Adopting the method of transferring and memorizing knowledge. I just said, we are just memorizing, we are just teaching without learning. We teach, we are not educating. Research of graduate students. This is again another disaster that we are suffering from. All the universities that we have within our country, we ask our fourth-year students to do research. But what is the advantages of having such a big number of researchers? If we take account the number of researchers we are going to do, then we need to build a country much more better than Europe. But we do it, but no use on the outputs. So we are just doing something traditional. Unfortunately, the national policy, we don't have national policy for the papers and research we have. We don't have something from the Ministry of Planning telling us this year you need to concentrate on agriculture. So the whole government, the whole ministries, the whole universities will just focus on agriculture. Let's do this first. We have no priorities. It's a mess. So expect something from the conference because we are all from the same area. When we don't need to blame anyone. So we need to blame ourselves. We are a part of this. I'm a part of it. So we need to blame ourselves. No need to blame anybody else. Lack of cooperation. Sometimes, not only in undergraduate, but in postgraduate, we are doing theses and dissertations. Same titles in my university, same titles in the middle, same titles in the university. Why? Because we don't have good cooperation. We don't have good coordination. Not only within Iraq, this might be correct for the other Arab countries as well. If we have very good links and connections with each other, then we can improve the quality of the outputs of the research we are doing. We are not going to duplicate the efforts. Unfortunately, we do duplicate the efforts, but without use. Again, the disconnections. You know that we have US Sustainable Development Goals, UN Sustainable Development Goals. You are all aware of the goals that UN has announced. You know, these goals are very important. I don't know that if any of you in your university is following these goals. This is the plan telling you what should you do. Unfortunately, we have no connection with these goals. One of the goals is about higher education. One of them is about health. One of them is about environment. One of them about entertainment, about the poor. So we are not going to take them into consideration. I know that sometimes I'm going to attend international conferences, workshops, And when I'm seeing the people following the SDGs, I feel ashamed. I say, why not? We are doing this in our country. Why not? The ignoring quality and innovation. Forget about quality, just quantity. Lack of scientific research activities and its impact. As I said, no impact on it. Fragility of university education system. Unfortunately, we know that. It might be something out of our control, that in our country, most of the universities are going to be established recently. Just, you know that in the beginning of the 21st century, most of the universities have been established. They are not as old as the universities in Europe. And of course, low quality of education. We don't have a balance between the number of students and the number of teaching staff. We are receiving a big number of students within our university without managing them with a big number of staff. So, unemployability of research results, lack of special centers. We don't have special centers for the lack of interaction with teamwork. We are not working in team. Everyone would like to work individually. We hate working in group. We hate it. Lack of university autonomies. Unfortunately, if our universities are autonomous, then they can do a lot of things. But they have no autonomy. They are just waiting for the government to allocate the budget and give them the money. They are not independent universities. And with quality of output. Let me just tell you this about what the researchers are suffering from. This is actually, I got it from a This is a very good data. They have made a survey and questionnaire about the researchers' needs and the lack of the basic needed when they are conducting the researchers. Look at it. 52% of the researchers in MENA area actually do not have access to academic journals. They have no access. They don't have subscriptions to the libraries, to the good journals, so as they can get access to the knowledge. 47% do not have access to good internet. The quality of the internet is too bad. 71% of the researchers find it difficult to attend global international conferences because they apply for the visa and they are not able to be granted the visas. So I know they are giving me a sign. I have prepared, this is just half of it, I'm sorry. I didn't talk about Kurdistan region, but because they give me a sign to stop, well, I really appreciate your attention. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions, I'm here for you. Thank you very much, Jam.